All right, so last year, Griffith was able to convince lawmakers to pass a bill that would allow Griffith to secede from Calumet Township if you didn't make drastic cuts to your budget. At the time, you're what, like 22% of the average of all townships in the state. They need to get you down to 12 times the state average. How are you doing with that? How is that working out?
Well, when we filed our budget, we were able to accomplish 12 times the state average. We cut our budget by, we have a levy of 15 million. We cut it down to 9, saving taxpayers $6 million for all of the taxing units. So it's hard to say that we have made the 12 times the state average, but based on our filing, we filed at the mandated request. We did file a lawsuit to that effect because there's 1,006 townships, and to ask Calumet Township to meet an average of all townships when approximately a third of them do not have any poor relief at all, a township assistance at all.
So basically you have to get the average of what every other township is doing in the state, and you don't have any control over what every other township in the state is.
Absolutely.
I can see what you're saying. But how did you were you able to make such drastic cuts in such a short amount of time?
It wasn't a drastic cut for us in a short amount of time because we've been scaling back over a period of time that we've been going through these requests and through these budget cuts and changes through a number of years since they've had the tax cap credits. So we've been scaling back, and it's been an 8-year battle going back and forth to the state, asking them to give us some type of relief and some type of assistance. Griffith have been making this effort over the past 7 or 8 years with an attempt to get out of Calumet Township.
All right. So, well, let's just take one step back. Why was Calumet Township's poor relief so much higher than any other township in the state, including North Township over in Hammond?
Based on the poverty level, based on some other factors, it's not that our tax, that our level is so high. It's based on the tax rate. It's based on the rate and based on all the other factors in the state, and it takes so much time to explain that. And I'd like some time to sit down and
I know,
explain
it's
that
tough
at some
to deal
other
with
time.
But part of it is Gary's tax collection is so much lower. It's like
tax collection-
42%. The school district is going through much of the same problems. So you just simply don't collect as much money with each dollar of taxes levied.
Every dollar we collect, we get 50 cents on every dollar, and that's based on the rate.
But on the other side of this, do you think there was some fairness in the notion of that Calumet Township's budget was high and it could be brought down?
I don't think that our budget is that high. I don't think it's based on how high our budget or our spending is. It's the need. It's the poverty that's in our township. If you read the Times, it says that 1 out of every 3 of our residents in our township live in poverty. So it's a proven fact that most of the township is in poverty, and based on the fact that the industry was given tax credits. When you give the industry as large as a U.S. Steel a credit, and then they assess themselves, what do you expect when you compare Calumet Township to North Township, and we have BP Amoco and it's $6 billion compared to $3 billion, what do you expect the rate to be in Calumet Township?
On the other hand, you've come under some criticism for having take-home cars in the township. There were some pictures taken of your car in front of your campaign headquarters.
It's absolutely unfair. My car is 11 years old. Other agencies have new cars. Other agencies, I think all elected officials drive their cars. Their cars are new. And I don't want to get into talking about another elected official, but I think fairness and equality. I have not had a raise since I've been an officer. I have not had a car since I've taken office, but I think there has to be some parity in comparing my office to another office. And it's unfair to judge Calumet Township if you're not looking at all the other offices, all the other agencies, and going out. They said they were going to do a study on all the townships, but every time something comes out, it's about the poorest township in the state. It's about the only township that's being judged and we're not looking at any other unit of government. We're only looking at the poorest township, the lowest level of people, the lowest unemployment, and everything is about that township. I think that's totally unfair in this community to be judged like that.
So if you can't collect taxes, and because there's law, you have to keep your rate down, what do you think is going to happen in Calumet Township over the next couple of years?
Well, the reason why we filed the lawsuit in federal court, we are not getting anywhere with our legislators. And I think the federal court and the federal judges will be able to make that decision. They will make a decision that's a little more just than an elected official who has to satisfy their constituents. And I think we'll stand a better chance going to federal court.
Do you have any sympathy for the other side, for Griffith's position, that they're just simply paying a rate that's too high for their community, higher than if they were in one of the neighboring townships?
But Steve, I haven't had a child in school in 30 years, and I'm still paying taxes for school. I haven't had a fire. I haven't had to call the police. I'm paying taxes for all of those things. Griffith maybe not have an individual who is in need. They may have worked and retired from inland steel just like I did, and maybe they're self-sufficient, can take care of themselves. But we all bear the burden of having to pay taxes. Wherever they go, whether it's North Township or any of the other adjoining townships, they're going to have to pay a burden of tax. And when U.S. Steel were paying their share of taxes, they were reaping the rewards. They said absolutely nothing about the rewards they were receiving. They say nothing about receiving the benefits off of the riverboats. They say nothing about any other tax benefit they get. Just recently, when they didn't want to pay the tax or the increased rate to Hammond for wastewater treatment, they wanted to come to Gary for wastewater treatment. Now, Griffith's going to have to pay something to somebody at a rate that person is charging, rather than fighting a battle to get it almost for nothing.
Well, just to take the long view here to wrap it up, what do you think the long-term solution is to the level of poverty and the need that you're seeing in Calumet Township?
I think the entire state, if you look, is going to have to consider and be realistic about what's happening in the town, in the city of Gary, and understand that we are all citizens in this state of Indiana. And we're going to have to realize that each one of us are going to have to help those in need.
So what does that mean? When you say each one of us need to help, what are you talking about?
That means that when all of these other cities are being subsidized, being helped, being revitalized, being helped in other ways, rather than talking about tax cuts to the industries, we're going to have to realize that the industries along Lake Michigan that's adjourned to the city of Gary are going to have to pay their fair share so that the city of Gary can grow as well. That's exactly what I mean.
And, all right, so the industry should pay more.
They're going to have to pay their fair share.
Should you be the one administrating all that, or is this really something that in the end should be handled at the township level?
No, the township survives on taxes paid. When U.S. Steel got a tax cut, taxpayers walked away from their homes. Their tax burden went up to $20,000, and some of them closed their doors. Tax collection was low. Taxpayers walked away. The tax collection is low. Unemployment became a burden there, taxpayers. So when you give an industry that large a tax break, to that extent, you're going to expect that community is going to suffer.
All right. Well, that's where we're going to leave it. Mary Elgin, thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.